I actually do think there will be many benefits to the United States. With President Obama's pivot to Asia, the U.S. signaled a strong engagement in the region. The new administration has not been too clear on that, particularly with dismantling TPP. However, they are sending a delegate to this conference, Matt Pottinger. So there does indicate some interest. Also, the visit coming up with Xi Jinping should be an important moment for the U.S. to seize this moment and get more engaged in this exciting development.
So the fact they're sending a delegation, did that surprise you? And this is pretty significant.
Well, it is. I had hoped, of course, a higher level delegation. Of course, President Putin will be there. Turkey's Erdogan will be there. All of the major players in the region will be well represented. The United States has not yet engaged with AIIB as much as the other countries in the region, which is a significant part of the Belt and Road Initiative. It's one big piece of this puzzle. The Belt and Road encircles the entire region of Asia, so it's very important for the United States to maintain its presence and engagement. And it could derive some benefits from China's moving into a deep water navy, helping to keep the peace, the sea lanes open, stopping piracy in the region, opening trade links. That certainly would benefit us.
As you mentioned, many world leaders are going to be there, 29 according to China's foreign ministry, but only one leader from a major Western economy, and that's Italian Prime Minister Paolo Gentiloni. Why is this initiative really struggling to generate the kind of traction that perhaps it deserves in the West?
I think in terms of Europe, the benefits are already very tangible. We've seen trade, say, between Rotterdam and Chongqing, China, and central China go up 3 times since last year. But I think in some ways, European economies, they're in a wait-and-see process. They are also dealing with many of their own crises. It's really those countries in the share near borders with China that are more obviously engaged, as well as in the Pacific. I think it's a growing swell of interest, and people are in somewhat of a wait-and-see mode. There's certain concerns about risks and overinvestment. China does hope to extend its projects abroad, and particularly with its overinvestment at home. So this is also stimulating China's economy, its export economy and foreign direct investment economy.
Professor Gladney, you've studied the ancient Silk Road. You know all about it. To create a modern Silk Road, are those ancient pathways still relevant today? And what do you see as some of the biggest challenges making this ambitious initiative happen?
Well, like the old Silk Road, the new initiative is not just one road. I always tell my students it's Silk Roads, and the maritime portion of the Silk Road has always been less studied and less explored. We know since the 7th century, the Arab countries were trading with China. There were delegations from the caliphates to the Chinese emperors and the Tang court, and well mapped out trade routes that led, of course, in the 14th century to China's famous Admiral Zheng He, who brought 7 fleets to the region in the early 1400s, about 60 years before Columbus sailed to America. So these trade routes have been well mapped out, but of course it's been political and historical stumbling blocks and roadblocks to opening up these corridors. As China has opened to the world in the past, whether it was the Qing dynasty, some periods, under the Mongols and the Yuan dynasty, and certainly during the Tang, China has this long history of opening and engaging with the West. This is how Buddhism came into China from India along those Silk Roads, how Islam came into China along those Silk Roads, and how Mongolia, actually under Genghis Khan in the 13th century, opened up the entire Eurasian continent to one empire that had tremendous trade and exchange with the West.
All right, we'll leave it there. Professor Dru Gladney, thank you so much.